Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. I am amped about giving this speech in front of this valuable group. Today I am going to talk about US-Iran diplomatic relations. The reason why I choose this issue is because it's very relevant and you hear all the time about Iran. So I thought you would be interested in the details. I will deliver my speech in 3 steps. The first will be about history of both countries' relations. Second will be about Iran's nuclear program. And the third will be about Iran's support for terrorism and paramilitary forces in the Middle East. Let's start with history. There are many events in both countries' history, but I picked 4 of them because we are short of time. The first is 1979 US-Iran revolution. During the revolutions, US supported revolutionaries initially because of strategic reasons. There was a Soviet threat in Afghanistan at that time. Soviets invaded Afghanistan. To contain Soviet threat and to prevent communism from spreading to the south, US government decided to support the revolutionaries, Shia Islamists, to contain Soviet threat. That was the first event. The second is hostage crisis. After revolution happened, a bunch of revolutionaries raided to US embassy in Tehran, captured embassy personnel, and took them hostage for 444 days. It was one of the toughest process in US-Iran diplomatic relations. The third event is the terrorist attack against US military personnel in Lebanon. This attack was conducted in 1983 by Hezbollah. Hezbollah, as some of you know, is a paramilitary forces that has conducted terrorist attacks against US and Israeli forces. And in that attack, around 240 US servicemen and soldiers died. The fourth event is the declaration of Iran as a member of Axis of Evil by Bush administration. Because of these many events that has resulted in bad issues, US government decided to declare Iran as a member of Axis of Evil. And those 4 events really shaped the history of their relations. The second issue that I want to mention about both countries' relations is Iran's nuclear program. This is a very complicated issue, but I will try to keep it as simple as possible. The biggest issue is the dual-use problem of nuclear technology. What does it mean? Dual use means the applicability of nuclear technology in both military and civilian purposes. Iran says they all do it for civilian purposes, but what they do is a little bit suspicious. And why it is suspicious? Because when you enrich uranium, you can use for civilian purposes between this level, 3 to 5%. And if you go up, it may be a little bit suspicious because after 20% of enrichment, it means that you are going high to have weapons grade uranium. And after 20%, you can use uranium to make an atomic bomb. And it's the same for plutonium. It's a little bit different than uranium, but it has the same issue. So what does enrichment mean? Enrichment means the natural uranium is called U-238. You can find a lot of uranium in all around the world. It's very widespread, and if you think that 1,000tons of uranium, 1,000 tons of uranium is 1 kilogram, 1 kilogram is 1 gram. 1 kilogram is 1 gram. And if you think that 1,000 tons of uranium is 1 kilogram, 1 kilogram is 1 gram. And if you think that 1,000 tons of uranium is 1 kilogram, 1 kilogram is 1 gram. And if you think that 1,000 uranium atoms, only 7 of those 1,000 atoms are applicable for atomic bomb. So if you take those atoms that's not useful for atomic bomb, you enrich uranium, and it takes time and energy. And in Iran's case, it enriched up to 20%. So that was one of the big issues for Iran's nuclear program. The last issue I want to mention is Iran's support for terrorism and paramilitary forces in the Middle East. Iran has unconventional activities in Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, Palestine, Turkey, and those activities are designed to destabilize these regions, because Iran believes that if a country gets stronger enough to destabilize the revolution, it may be problematic for Iran. So its main purpose in this Middle East region is to contain U.S. efforts, to contain U.S. strategy and push it back out of Middle East. Today, I tried to explain the U.S.-Iran diplomatic relations in 3 steps. First, I talked about its history. Second, I mentioned Iran's nuclear program. Third, I tried to explain Iran's terrorist activities in the Middle East. Thank you for listening to me.